Verse 1. God said to Jacob, "Arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there. Make an altar there to God who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau." There's going to be then Bethel is called Bethel, then Bethel is called Luz. When we get to the usage of Luz, I will explain why I think in that case they called it Luz. When God tells him, God doesn't call it Luz, God calls it Bethel. In other words, Moses, God through Moses in this case now, is calling it, he's calling it Bethel, the name, right? So, because in this case, Moses is focusing, this is God speaking, and God is telling him to go to a place where he appeared to him before. Not the Luz, the old Luz, not the old Jacob, but the new Jacob. Right? And so therefore he uses the word Bethel in this case. And he's telling him, go there and make there an altar to the God who appeared to you when you first fled. When you crossed the river with nothing, just your stick, nothing else. And now that you're back, I told you I could take care of you. I told you, and I kept my promise. Now, go there. Now, worship me there. Dwell there. Verse 2. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, "Put away the foreign gods that are among you, and purify yourselves, and change your garments." And so his message to them basically is in this case now, so put everything away. Purify yourself before God. Get rid of the garments. Now, the Mormons, as far as I've heard, I don't know how true this is. They say, and again, it might not be true, because I've never really asked Mormons myself, so this might be fake news, that they have like holy underwear. I don't know if it's true or not, but in this case you need to change the garments. Some of these garments might have then, because they were in contact with foreign gods, or just the idea later on of purification, right? The purification before they come in and worship God, they had to be purified, and this is now what to do. Now you would think kind of that Jacob and his people ought to have not had any kind of, but we've seen that Rachel took house gods, and now they're supposed to get rid of it. God is a jealous God. He doesn't want to share. Okay, so this is what they need to purify themselves. Remember, Jacob said, if God brings me back, then God will be his God, right? Now, so maybe as well in this case is now this point of now God is going to bring him back to Bethel. Now you can't have divided attention anymore. You need to have full attention on me. You need to full-heartedly serve only me and me alone. But anyhow, they need to purify themselves to get ready for being the presence of God. Verse 3, all of them, that is. Verse 3, then let us arise and go up to Bethel, so that I may make there an altar to the God who answers me in the day of my distress, and has been with me wherever I have gone. Okay, so he tells the family now that this is what we're going to do, right? We're going to go to Bethel to make an altar and worship God there. The God that took care of him, the God that protected him, that answered him when he was in distress. I mean, right, so Jacob wasn't even, when he was sleeping there, he wasn't really even calling out to God for help. He was just, I guess, so despondent. He was just trying to sleep. Left outside the city, nobody took him in. Very despondent. And then when he could not do anything about it, when he wasn't even searching for God, God is the one who appeared to him. Okay, and this is a God that answers his distress as though he didn't even ask for any help. He didn't even know. I mean, he was so distressed. He was so distressed that he couldn't even think of asking for help. And God has been wherever he has gone. Okay, so this is what we are now going to do. So again, remember, when the people left Egypt a couple of 100 years later, right? This is the reason. Their reason was to go to their land to worship God. 3 days journey to go and worship God, okay, which was kind of deceitful because that wasn't really their reason. Verse 4. So they gave to Jacob all foreign gods that they had, and the rings that were in their ears. Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree that was near Shechem. So all their foreign gods they now gave to Jacob, right? And the rings that most likely as well symbolize some kind of worship to these gods or something, or it shows their a way of giving gold to God, right? Like the tenth or whatever in this case. They are offering to God. And all of this, since no place to get rid of it, so what did they do? They buried it, okay, under a terebinth tree. So maybe if you're lucky, you dug under a terebinth tree there in this part of the world, you might just get some of these things now. Sure, throughout the years, other people have dug, so you won't find anything. But this is then what they did. They got rid of it. Okay, now they are cleansed, God alone. Verse 5. And as they journeyed, a terror from God fell upon the cities that were around them, so that they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. Remember at the end of the previous chapter, Jacob was so afraid, he said, now there is stink. The people are going, the Canaan is going to hate them. What if they all bond together and attack them? Then they would not be able to defend themselves. So now God sends them deeper into this land. And what? Is this going to happen? Are they going to bond together and attack them? No, they're not. Why? Because God is going to put a fear of them in their hearts. In other words, God, at least, well, put it this way, at least Jacob here, like his father, grandfather before Abram, bringing his father as an offering, he is afraid of what the people might think. Very much so afraid. Like Abram, pretty much sure did not want to bring his son as an offering, although he believed that God can provide or bring him back from the dead, as we see from the New Testament. Right? But he was very much afraid, and when God now told him to go deeper into this land and bring, to go to Bethel, to dwell there, build this altar, he could have sort of, like with Israel, kind of either made other plans or kind of just not obeyed. But no action, in fact, he obeyed. He told them, they obeyed, he obeyed, and they went. And as a result, because of their obedience to God, God then put the fear of them in the hearts of the Canaanites. Like years before, where God put the fear of man in the hearts of animals, so they would not go kill Noah and his sons. Now God puts the fear of Jacob and his family in the hearts of Canaanites, so in the end they did not touch them, they left them alone. Verse 6. And Jacob came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. And there he built an altar, and called the place El Bethel, because there God had revealed himself to him when he fled from his brother. Okay, so here now they say the verse says he came to Luz, which is Bethel, okay, just to make sure that the people know this is Bethel. God said go to Bethel, so he went there, we were supposed to. He came full circle, okay, where he started off that dream. Now he is back, not just with his staff, but with so many things now. Family, 11 sons at that stage, a couple of daughters. Okay, so the Bethel is written in brackets here, that is Bethel, but the name Luz is mentioned. Why? Because at that stage it was still Luz. Okay, so, and there's going to be again a mention of changing Jacob's name into Israel. So with Luz, the city there has now been changed into Bethel as a place where God appeared. And so there's a change of city name, a change of region or city name due to God's appearance. So like God is going to change his name, now God is showing as well by changing the name of the city. He's changing this into this belongs to him. It's another first stepping stone towards having the whole country. Okay, a city being changed into a name that ultimately God gave, because God appeared there to them. Okay, so this as well points towards, for the people, towards the fact that this is not Luz anymore. This is now Bethel, because it's ours, because God appeared to Jacob. Okay, and they all came to this place. There they built an altar. They called it El Bethel, and because God revealed Himself to to Jacob when he fled. So it's well a reminder. So you have this full circle, fleeing with nothing, coming back with so much. God said, "I will protect you." He's here. He's back. He's protected. We see this protection in Padan Aram. They're in Haran from Lot. We see the protection from Esau, and we saw the protection from the other Canaanites, that is by God giving this fear of Jacob on them. Okay, so God protecting them when they could not protect themselves. God was the one ultimately who did all of this for Jacob.